All right, it is 12 o'clock, and since these sessions are meant to be brief, we're going to go ahead and get started. And I'll keep an eye on the waiting room, Stephanie, so you might see some others pop in. All right, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our first Tech Tuesday. If I'm assuming since you've signed up and are joining us today, you likely read in one of my many emails that this is a new series we're starting. And as I said, this is the first one kicking it off, but on the first Tuesday of each month, all throughout the year at 12 o'clock, we are going to have one of these sessions that will either be, a demo of a new technology, a refresher course of something, maybe like a data tale for advisors or something on Web Advisor. It could be something we use regularly that is a, reminder or a tips and tricks video, or it may be something like PlayPosit showing us new features added to our account. So we've got this one scheduled, and then next month, some of our humanities and English faculty are going to be showing a software that they use called Hypothesis, and we are continuing to work to schedule the rest of this year's Tech Tuesday sessions. So if there's anything that you would like to share with your colleagues that you think that they will find helpful or beneficial in their work, please feel free to contact me to get that scheduled. So I am going to go ahead and turn it over to our instructional designer, Dr. Jamie McLeod, to get us started.
Okay, thank you, Erin. So my name is Dr. Jamie McLeod. I'm the instructional designer here at Central Carolina Community College, and I've been using PlayPosits in my courses. So if you don't know, I teach in the Computer Technologies Department, CIS, NOS courses, and I also teach public speaking. And so I've implemented some of these PlayPosits in my own courses, and I think it's an excellent way that you can bring some interactivity to the videos that you use in your course to check and make sure students are getting the information that you want them to get. I actually have a video that I made. It is on the Center of Academic Excellence page. We're going to be changing that name to Center of Organizational Excellence. But that's just an example of a video I made for my course, kind of showing you how to use it and how you can use it in your course. So if you haven't watched that, there's a link to it on our instructional design page, or you can just bookmark it there to look at for later. It could help you and help answer some questions too. And okay, Stephanie, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you, and we're going to talk about hotspots and jump sessions in PlayPosit.
Thanks, Jamie. Thank you, Erin. I am honored to be starting off this Tech Tuesday series. So thank you guys so much for inviting me. So I'm going to go over, first of all, our training handout. I'm going to put this in the chat for you. This training handout is a wealth of resources, as well as like a basic bulb building checklist. And I'll go over what a bulb is in just a little bit. But if you open that up, you'll have some information and resources here on jumps and hotspots specifically. And then as you scroll down, this is our bulb building checklist. This is more of like a 101, just the basic overview and workflow of how you're going to build a bulb with Blackboard. So I will link this again a little bit later on in the training, and I'll follow up with it as well. So, so far we have a few different experience levels in this, one being people who have never used PlayPosit before, up to 3 people who are using it more than once. So that's great to see, and hopefully we'll have something for everybody in this training. So we're going to go over just a brief overview of what PlayPosit is, the background, and a few use cases of how you could use it, specifically pertaining to hotspots and jumps. We're going to look at deconstructing that learner experience. I want to show you what PlayPosit looks like on that learner side and what features are available to them, as well as we're going to dive into our PlayPosit designer and actually do some bulb building with hotspots and jumps. So just really briefly, PlayPosit, and what is it? PlayPosit at its core is a design studio. So you're going to launch it in Blackboard, which I'll show you how to do in a few minutes. And then we're going to upload video content and add interactivity. You're going to hear me use that word bulb a lot. So I want to just go back and define what a bulb is. When you stream a video through our interactive player, that ending product is what we call a bulb. And it's called a bulb because it illuminates the learning process for instructors, and it lets students know exactly what they don't know. Bulbs can be assigned asynchronously in various ways, and the most popular, which is what we're going to go over, is that individual self-paced learning object. You can even combine multiple bulbs and resources into a playlist. As well as if you were wanting to pursue a synchronous avenue, you could use our broadcast functionality for that. So today we're gonna focus on that self-paced asynchronous delivery, since that's our most popular use case. And I'm gonna give you just a brief view into our design studio, just so you have an idea of what it's gonna look like on the other side. So here's our design studio on the left. It's very powerful, but there are ways to make it simple to use. And we also have our stream video here on the right. Some of those fundamental benefits of using PlayPosit include the ability to hold learners accountable by disabling fast forwarding and skipping, as well as they'll have access to an embedded exportable notepad and navigable transcripts. So let's define really quick what hotspots and jumps are, since that's what we're going to be focusing on most. So a hotspot is going to be an overlay on the video. So that's going to be like annotating the videos for your learners. These hotspots can be set for a duration of time over the video. They can even last the entire video. So up here at the top, we can see an example of a hotspot just as a visual resource for learners. But hotspots can also be made into jumps. And a jump is any time a student is moved to a different timestamp of a video. There are so many ways to configure jumps. I'm going to show you a few different ways when we get into the designer. They can be designed based on learner response. Maybe it's a student gets an answer correct and you want to propel them forward in the video so they get to kind of go through into the mastery part of your lesson. Or they can be configured if learners get something incorrect, you can bump them back to the beginning of the lesson. They can also be configured based on choice. So maybe you're going to offer learners a few different scenarios. They get to choose which scenario in which segment of that video the scenario is. So lots of different ways to configure jumps within the video. So again, hotspots are just an overlay, just like annotating that video. Jumps are going to move them to a different timestamp. So I have a few use cases that I want to show you, considering both jumps and hotspots. In this first use case, I want to highlight just a few features that we're going to spend time on in the designer. In this example, COVID-19 is being covered from varying news viewpoints. We have BBC, NBC, and Fox News. So in this bulb, students are provided with the autonomy through the duration of this bulb to choose which viewpoints they want to examine. I'm going to fast forward a little bit so we can see those hotspots. So we can see here, I'll pause it. Here are those hotspots overlaying on the video. And these hotspots have been configured so that when a learner selects that hotspot, they are going to be moved in that video to the point where this NBC News point of view is going to start, or Fox News or BBC. So that's one way that you can configure these hotspots into jumps. At any point in this video, they can select a different viewpoint as their focus. And at the end, they are required to, they have a required interaction to demonstrate their understanding and provide their analysis of one of the points of view. In this next use case, this is a scenario-based bulb. So this is going to auto jump learners to content based on selected response answers. So in this case, if a learner is going to select the correct answer, they're going to be catapulted forward in the video because of the mastery demonstrated. And in this last use case, we're actually going to take a look at this a little bit closer, and we're going to preview this bulb as a learner. But in this use case, it features how jumps can also be configured without a hotspot. So here, jumps are actually embedded right here within a pause interaction. And wherever they're selecting here, they're going to preview that section of the bulb. So they can click strategy 1, 2, or 3 at any point in this bulb and look at different classroom management strategies. So I'm going to go ahead and open up this bulb in my PlayPosit My Bulbs library. My Bulbs library is any bulbs that you've previously built or that have been shared with you. So I'm going to open this and preview it as a learner. So here, as we start off, we have a pause interaction that is popping up. So I can see that my instructor here has entered a lesson objective here with some directions, and they've given me a introductory scenario.
American history. Where did Boston Tea?
I can expand this out too to make it a little bit easier for myself to view.
Party occurred?
Boston, Massachusetts.
Very good, very good.
So in this case, there's a student acting up and they're going to give different scenarios for how to handle this management.
The Nazis and the Italians.
So based on this issue that's occurring, there are 3 different strategies that this bulb is going to provide. So I can view each strategy here by clicking.
Sometimes misbehavior or inattention isn't what it seems. For many
So I could watch
students, it
strategy
stems from
1.
boredom or rest.
Could go to strategy 2.
In the classroom, if you've got a student tapping a pen at the front of the class while you're trying to talk to them, or if you've got 2 students at the back of the classroom having their own discussion while students are making contributions.
And strategy 3.
Are you a teacher who finds it difficult to manage disruptive student behaviors? Are you unsure of what?
You might notice there's also a jump home here. So if I at any point want to go back and review the beginning of the material, I can do that. And at the very end, this is configured to have an interaction saying choose one strategy to analyze and describe that strategy and the impact on that scenario. So I would enter my that I encountered. At the top here, I have the ability to review the bulb, which I'm doing. I can take notes throughout the bulb here. These are actually time-stamped notes and they're exportable. So learners, this is going to be any single bulb that a learner takes, they're going to have access to this notepad feature. These notes are only going to be available to the student and to the instructor. And last, they can have access to their own transcript here. So again, this is also a clickable transcript taking them to that timestamp of the video. The other thing that learners have access to is this cogwheel down here at the bottom right. This is going to allow them to increase or decrease playback speed if the instructor has enabled that for the learner, as well as view any other available transcripts. See here I have 3 different videos with the transcripts. I'm sorry, the captions, as well as the volume. So those are a few features that are always going to be available to the learners. Again, these this notepad here with review notes transcript and the ability to select captions and increase, decrease playback speed. So at this point, I'm going to take us into the designer, but before I do, I want to just give you the kind of like overview of workflow that we're going to be working in as we build a bulb. So first, we're going to have an idea of the content that we want to go into PlayPosit with. We're going to start by going through Blackboard. And then we're going to launch PlayPosit within Blackboard. We're going to add that video content, any interactivity that we desire, and then link it back to Blackboard. Again, in this training handout, we're going to go through these steps too. The steps of Blackboard, interactivity, and the video content. So if you'd like to follow along here, you're welcome to. And if you'd like to open up Blackboard and do this with me, this would be a great opportunity to get that rolling. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to hop into Blackboard. I'm going to go to the course that I want and go to content. And I'm going to say build content here and and then we're going to find PlayPosit in this list. My list here is kind of lengthy just because our testing environment, yours will probably not be this hard to find PlayPosit in. So bear with me just a second as I hunt that out. Hopefully this gives you some time to get your Blackboard set up. I see PlayPosit Basic, but I'm looking for my other one. Oh, goodness. Any questions as I'm looking through here? This is comical. Usually I know exactly where to scroll to. All right, well, I guess we're just going to go with our PlayPosit Basic today. That should be fine. Oh, there it is, PlayPosit Deep Linking. Okay, so I'm going to grab PlayPosit and it's going to open this gray screen saying either set link or enter PlayPosit. Both of these avenues are going to take us to the same place. It doesn't matter which one you select. It just speaks to our ability to compromise because some partners wanted set link and some wanted enter PlayPosit. So once we open that up, we are going to be jumped into the My Bulbs library. Again, this is where you're going to have any of the bulbs you have previously created stored, or any bulbs that have been shared with you here. You also have your profile activity feed. This is where it's kind of like a glorified to-do list. Any updates on bulbs, like anytime a student submits a bulb, you're going to be updated in this activity feed here. And you also have access to playlists in the pre-made bulb library. This is going to be this is for you, it's going to say Central Carolina Community College here. This is going to be anytime somebody wants to share their bulbs to this repository. So you can kind of search and find ideas there, as well as the all PlayPosit bulb library. So to create a bulb, we're going to be in that My Bulbs library and we're going to add a new bulb. So you're going to see my videos. My videos are any videos that you've previously pulled in through PlayPosit. You can directly input a URL if you have that available. You can even upload an MP3 if you want to do a great bulb on podcasts. Otherwise, you'll have access to YouTube and Vimeo. So for today, I'm going to go through YouTube and I'm going to show a math example here. I'm going to pull in a few different examples of division. So let's see, I have my first link here, which is Khan Academy, just like a basic division bulb. So I'm going to use this and I'm going to pull in a couple more because I'm going to be jumping my learners to various bulbs depending on their answer selections or their choice in this, because I want to show you a couple different ways that you can jump your students. So to add a new video, I'm going to just select add video here and I'm going to enter another YouTube link. And when I'm adding these links, I can click done right away, but you also have the ability to customize this a little bit further. Any captions from YouTube or Vimeo are automatically going to be pulled in, so you don't have to do this step. But if you want to view any additional captions that might be available, you can do that. You can even drag in your own caption files if you'd like. You can also do some light trimming and cropping of your videos. This isn't actually going to edit the video because we're just streaming video. This is really covering up any sections of the video that you might not. Captions and trimming, but I'm just going to select done. And I have the three videos that I'd like to use. So now that I have the videos set up, I'm going to start adding my interactions. And as an instructor, I've always loved to start my lessons with setting up an objective and some directions. So to do that, I'm going to add an interaction just at the 0 timestamp of my video. And that's going to be a pause interaction. Pauses have like such a wide variety of use. I'm going to show you in a little bit how they can be used in so many ways. This way is just going to be as kind of a basic pause. It's going to set up the objective, nothing too fancy. So here's my lesson objective, some directions. If I want, I have access to that rich text editor again, so I can play around with that and customize it as I would like. But I'm just going to select done for now. So I've got my lesson objective ready. If I would like to customize the placement, I can do that here. I can even have it overlaid on top of the whole video or just have it right here in the sidebar. That's the default. So if you want it anywhere else other than that sidebar, this is where you would go. And I can adjust the timing too. So I could decide, oh, actually I didn't want that at the 0 timestamp. I wanted it further on. Or I can make it a durational interaction and make it last for a length of time in the video. So I've got my pause ready to go. So that lesson objective, when the learners open up the bulb, that's the first thing that they're going to see right on top of the video. As my learners are going through this division lesson,
we've got 24 triangle things right over here.
I want to provide them with a visual resource for them to use. It's going to be a hotspot, similar to what we saw in our slide deck. It's going to be a hotspot that they can just view and it can support them. And I'm going to add that just a little bit farther on in the video here. So that's going to be a pause. And I would like to add here an image for them because it's going to be a visual resource. So I'm going to add the image. I've already pulled the link for that image on the, so I have that image already pulled. That link is ready and I can give it a description if I want. I can adjust the dimensions if I want, but I think it's ready to go. So this is what it's going to look like for them. So I can, again, adjust the placement if I don't want it just in the sidebar. Maybe I want it right here. And I want this to last for a period of time because I want them to be able to reference this throughout the lesson. So I'm gonna have to adjust the timing so that it's gonna last for quite a while. So maybe I want it to last about 5 minutes. So it's gonna start at the 24-second mark. It's gonna end at the 5-minute, 24 seconds mark. If at any point I want to go and edit these interactions, I can just click right back into them to edit. Oh, I'm seeing some questions in here in the chat. Sorry, my friends, I haven't been keeping up on that. Thank you, Jamie, for helping to answer some of those. Perfect. Yep, you can just paste those YouTube links right in there. Okay. Say I want to provide my learners with some autonomy on their level of expertise. So if they're watching this video here and this is too basic for them, they need some more challenging material, I can actually input a hotspot pause interaction again. That's going to allow them to jump to the next lesson without them having to use the scroll bar to find where that next lesson is. It's going to like put them exactly at that timestamp. So here I can put some wording in like, I've got this. Take me to the advanced content. So this is what they're going to see. And I'm going to have it as like a little hotspot, maybe out of the way a little bit, so that when they click on that, or they can click on that right at that point. And maybe I want this to last again for, sorry, timing. It lasts for a period of time throughout the beginning of this video. So while it's kind of just beginner information and oh, pardon me. So this is the information they're going to see. How I'm going to jump them to the next portion of the video is I'm going to highlight this, and this little icon here is a jump. So I'm going to select that little icon. This is the text here that's going to be jumping them. And I'm going to input the time of when the next video would start. So I happen to know that the next video is going to start at about 8 minutes. I can even create a little styling effect here. So if I want it to be like a bright pink bar, I can do that. I don't personally like that it's a big white chunk of space here. And so what I'm going to do is in this placement, I am going to adjust the opacity so that only that little pink highlighting is going to be visible. So now I have this hotspot that's going to jump them to the next video if they choose. I don't necessarily want this to be required. So what I can do is I can unselect that it's required, and I don't need it to pause video playback. If you want to create jumps based on learner selection, so for example, maybe you want them to jump backward for an incorrect answer or forward for a correct answer, we could do that for a couple of different interactions. So the interactions that you could consider doing that with would be a multiple choice and check all. So I'm going to show you here with a multiple choice question. And maybe my multiple choice question is going to be a division question. So I'm going to say 43 divided by 5. I'm going to type in 43. I can insert that division sign here. divide by 5. Oops. And then I'm going to give them a few different answer options. So maybe 7 remainder 2, 8 remainder 3, and 9 remainder 4. So for selection B, that's going to be our correct answer. Say I want to propel them forward in the video because they've already shown mastery in this selection. What I can do is I can, in this cogwheel here for the correct answer, I'm going to select that. And I'm going to do 2 things here. I'm going to add feedback and a jump. So in the feedback, I'm going to like give them a little explanation, not so I don't want them to like go propelled forward and not know what's happening. I'm going to give them a little heads up and say, maybe like, because you've demonstrated competency, you will be jumped forward. So they're going to get that prompt and I'm going to put that jump in. So maybe if my next video is about at 8 minutes or 9 minutes, I'm going to propel them to that point. So wherever that next section is, you're going to take them there. Again, I'm just going to go with my default placement here in the sidebar, and I'm going to keep the timing. Great. So now we have a jump just based on answer feedback or the answer selection. Just kind of like choose where the like content is going to meet their needs. I can add like table of contents. So that's a really simple way to have them jump throughout different points in this video. These jumps are going to be automatically built into a table of contents. So if I select that, it's going to break up this bulb by video as well as interactions. This can be edited. So if I want to take out the interactions and just keep the video so they can toggle between videos if they want, I have that ability to do so. So the default for a table of contents is going to be in the sidebar. They can access it at any point during this bulb. So we can see that here in the sidebar. So here are a few different ways that you can configure hotspots and jumps. So again, here is our table of contents jump lasting the duration of the bulb. Here's that hotspot. No jumps are attached to this. It's just going to be a resource for learners. Here is a hotspot that is also going to act as a jump if a learner clicks on it. And here is a multiple choice interaction where if they answer correct, they will be jumped forward. So again, there are like so many ways to configure this for your learners. Really, it comes down to like what's important to you. Is learner autonomy important? Is mastery important? Giving students the opportunity to go back and review work if they're getting answers incorrect. So decide those things for yourself, and then you can choose your path from there. A couple of other things I wanted to show you just in terms of saving yourself some time. If you are starting to use like the same interactions over and over, you don't want to have to rebuild those interactions each time. We have my interactions here. So again, I'm just going to go add an interaction in my interactions. And this is going to be a hub of any interaction you've previously used. You can imagine this is going to get really lengthy after you start building multiple bulbs. So this is searchable. So you can search by keyword. You can even filter these results by interaction type. So if I find I'm using the same fill in the blank, and I just want to find it here instead of having to build it each time, I can look for my fill in the blanks. Another thing for my friends that are just getting started with PlayPosit is we have this template gallery available to you. So if you open this up, we have a list of templates here. Some of these are going to be more for the learner experience. So if you have learners that are just getting started with using PlayPosit and you want them to have some highlighting in the bulb of different features available to them, like I showed you with transcripts, the notepad, the ability to adjust playback speed, you're going to use the learner experience template for that. That's going to be like 5 interactions within a bulb just to highlight those learner features. We also have some templates that are for collaboration. So we have a discussion template, and it's going to be adding that discussion interaction for learners to interact with each other. And it's going to last the entirety of the bulb. So I encourage you to get in here, look at what's available to you, look at what you might be interested in using. We even have one template that implements one of each template, which can get kind of wild. So play around with that. But the beauty of these templates is you click apply, and a series of interactions are going to be applied to specific timestamps of your bulb. So when I just selected is our learner experience or learner feedback template, and it's going to be a poll at the end of my bulb followed by a free response question for learners to elaborate. Once I have all the interactions that I want, I'm going to go ahead and review this bulb just to make sure it has the correct title that I would like. I can set a learning objective here. I can even use tags, which are going to help my bulb's library stay organized. So I've seen people use tags for their course title. I've seen them use tags for just like projects they're working on. Just help, whatever tags are going to help you remember what this bulb is about and what you've used it for. This would be the place to do it. And you can use the target audience and subject as well to help yourself out. In this review section, you're also going to be able to adjust any playback options. For jumps specifically, it's very important if you're jumping learners forward in a video, you need to enable videos to be fast forwarded. You also need to allow learners to skip interactions if they're going to be jumped past any other interactions. So again, for jumps, you want to make sure to allow them to skip and fast forward. You can also allow them to rewind. So if your jump is pushing learners back in a video, you want to make sure to allow a rewind. And other options for you would be allowing learners to retake a bulb after completion. Just want you to know that learners always have the ability to go back and review a bulb, but selecting this will allow them to go back and completely retake each interaction, which then will update their score in Blackboard. So then we have a printable report, so learners can get a report at the very end. They just click a button and they see every interaction within that bulb, any response that they've been given, as well as the results from those responses and any learner notes that they've taken in that bulb. All is going to be within that printable worksheet. Okay, so I'm ready to go. I'm going to save those changes. I can adjust the privacy I want to, if I want to make it public or private just for me. I'm going to save that and close this window. So now I'm pushed back into my bulbs library, and this is where I'm going to link this bulb to Blackboard. So here's the bulb I just created. I'm going to set the link here by clicking that Blackboard icon. I'm going to have just a self-paced learner experience. Just for your reference, this is how you would also make it a live broadcast. But today we're doing self-paced, and I'm going to link it. Great, so now I'm back in Blackboard. My assignment went to the bottom of the list here. So I can click back in here to edit, make sure the points look good. Everything is as I want it. So I can adjust my points possible, visible to students, my due date, and then make sure it's all good and I can submit it and it's going to be ready for learners. So when learners are going to view this bulb, they're just going to go to Blackboard like normal, open up the assignment, and the bulb should be embedded right in that Blackboard assignment for them. So just to reiterate, when you're doing jumps forward or backward in the video, make sure that learners have the ability to skip interactions, fast forward if you're jumping them forward, or rewind if you're jumping them backwards in that video. You have lots of resources available for you. So not only do we have that training handout where we have jump and hotspot resources. This is our knowledge base article, and this is our PlayPosit Academy. Here, right in your PlayPosit account are partner resources. So here in these partner resources, you're going to be able to click into PlayPosit Academy. Not only do we have resources by learning management systems. So for you, Blackboard, you can look at how to configure bulbs with Blackboard, but you can also do deep dives into interactions. So if you want to learn more about jumps and how to use them, you can click into here and have a whole playlist available to you just on jumping. We also have more information on those pause interactions because I know we referred back to those pauses a lot. And you can dive into any other interactions that you're interested in as well. We also have lots of upcoming webinars you can take a look at. We have different use cases for inspiration, some help articles, and we have weekly office hours. I'd love to see any of you come. So here are these upcoming webinars. We have a personalized instruction with PlayPosit data. This is going to be a deep dive into our monitor page. So you can look at how to use those analytics from the monitor page to personalize instruction further. And you can even come to our playlist webinar happening on April 14th. Playlist is basically a container for multiple bulbs. So not only can you link any relevant bulbs together in this sequenced playlist, but you can also put resources such as PDFs, web embeds, CSVs. You can put just so many things in this like beautiful playlist ready to go. Like a playlist is basically, just to show you a quick example, this is a playlist here. We have a table of contents. We can jump to any of these bulbs and resources that can be categorized as well. If you guys would be so kind, I have a survey. If you would take this, it'll help me improve my practice as well as give us ideas for future training opportunities. So I've put that link for you in the chat. And at this point, we're just about at time. So I'm going to open the floor for any questions. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Stephanie. We still have a few more minutes for some questions, but I do want to let you know that the recording of this training will be available on Professional Development Blackboard by tomorrow, and we'll also include a link to this helpful handout that Stephanie linked for us.
Thanks, Erin.
I think we answered all the questions. It looks like Jamie and Laura are going to get together to work through that error that some of her students are receiving.
Perfect. Let me know how I can support that as well.
Of course. If there are no other questions, thank you for joining us today for our first Tech Tuesday. And like I said, if you have any ideas, if there's anything you want to present or something you're curious about that maybe one of your colleagues can share information on, just shoot me an email. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording for right now.